Day 2 of shadowing TED Talk. Let's go! I'm angry. And I'm angry because I wish I knew this when I was younger. I was in neuroscientists, and in neuroscientists they study the brain and the nerves that stay out into the body. A lecturer acted the next healthcare professionals. And look, I see some students struggle with their learning, especially the other one. It's not their fault. We were taught how to learn. It's kind of expected to happen. I think the worst kind of all is taught to learn at every age. I tell you that there are things that we can do to learn faster and more effectively. I will take you to the neuroscience behind 6th grade agent, gonna help you learn faster, attention, alertness, sleep, repetition, breaks, and mistakes. Now, first thing first, when I actually learn, when neuroplasticity to learn, neuroplasticity is a scientist term, especially to physically change response to experience. When we learn something, whether learning information or learning a skill, tiny little connections for synapses form between neighboring neurons on your brain. The more we do that thing where information or skill, the more robust these connections become, the better we get at doing what it is. As we look at here, 2 neurons that are formed in a petri dish. This is a petri dish that I'm about to throw away. I thought they are about to connect, so I quickly took the video. A can-like structure here are called growth cones, and every neuron has one. They actively sense the environment around, and they have each or every of 86 billion neurons in your brain on the correct place to connect to. For example, from here to here or here to here. And this for learning. It doesn't represent learning. It represents how our brain wires itself. But development goes wrong with that wiring process. It doesn't happen in the usual way. They end up with things or issues that are never learning. Kids are a bit sponges, right? They seem to need to expose the stuff and esteem to remember it. The language, your skills, or sports, whatever it is, the learning happens really quickly. Now, have you ever met someone who is incredibly talented and just thought, okay, there must be some magic thing about them, and the rest of it don't have? Well, what if I tell you that's probably not true? They mostly come down to practice, perseverance, and when they start learning a skill. The earlier, the better. And people like Serena Williams and Beethoven, they were born with the skills. They practiced, and they actually started when they age 5. So really, that ability to learn kind of goes downhill upstage. But it certainly gets harder throughout childhood, throughout teens, throughout mid-20s. It gets exponentially harder to learn, exponentially. The good news is I'm going to tell you what you can do about it. There are things you can do. Your attention, alertness, sleep, repetition, breaks, and sticks to make your learning better. First thing first, in order to learn, you need to pay attention. Attention is a really important function. For example, I was asked you to close your eyes and focus on your context between your face, feet on the floor. You'll suddenly be aware of maybe the texture of the socks, maybe how tight your shoes are, maybe how firm the floor is. And you weren't aware of anything of that a second ago. And what that means is that we have the ability to choose how much attention that you pay to something. And studies have shown that when you're fully focused on a task, you're much more likely to retain that information, especially long term. And until I never had to work this hard to pay attention. Let's be honest. Sometimes reading or playing something because you're a bit distracted. Right? Yeah. We design to focus on one thing at a time. There's no secret that the frequent context switching that happens by social media. So scrolling through our phones and say lots of different completely unrelated information like news, ads, cat videos result in significantly measurable attention deficit. So I'm not saying cause any ADHD, but studies shown that if you use your phone for more than an hour in teens, they result in these attention deficits. So try to use your phone a little bit less. Now, if you want to improve your attention in the long term, there are things like focus, attention meditation. You can improve that. If you want to improve your attention in a really short term, you can actually just exercise. Regulars have to say I have to exercise. Well, hear me out the second here. Exercise can actually increase the size of the heart of your brain involved in learning and remembering. Also helps you make new brain cells. Studies have shown that regular exercise improves memory and improves cognition, so your ability to think. It's just 20 minutes of moderate exercise, not even intense exercise, that will actually improve your attention about 2 hours afterwards. So here's what you do. You're sitting at your study. Just go for a jog. Do some star jumps. Better if you challenge your balance. If you're at work, run up and down the stairs. There are lots of things that you can do to make this happen. Next we have alertness. In order to learn, we've got to be alert, right? It's not rocket science. But here's the thing. If you're not fully focused on a task, you're gonna have a hard time retaining that information. Activating a fight or flight system, activating our nervous system, as is all known, releasing adrenaline, noradrenaline, amongst the other things, will increase our alertness. So what's the other thing that we can do to increase our fight or flight system? Because obviously you can't do rising air horns all the time. Well, again, exercise with a recurring theme here. You can do certain breathing techniques like Wim Hof breathing. You can even in your shower and drink a glass of water because you feel very alert. We also know that stress will do the same thing. So you know that if you sit down and learn after more stress up, like this, for example, this enhances your learning. So, what can you do? You can have too much stress. So, see that I'm experiencing that now. So, when you've been experiencing long-term stress or chronic stress, it's physically changes your brain, and it causes an issue in learning and memory. You have been experiencing stress for a long period of time. You're having impairments in memory. That's simple. So, to be kind for yourself. To yourself. A little bit of stress, that's good. Actually, reach peak performance. They have a little bit of increase of adrenaline learning tasks will actually enhance your learning as well. You can also ingest substances to enhance your alertness. Things like caffeine. There's a growing body of everybody shows that having before learning tasks, particularly being a regular caffeine drinker, can enhance your learning and memory to a range of different mechanisms in your brain. We know that, for example, if you eat, you're less alert, so that's switching off our fight or flight system. So maybe don't sit down to study after a big meal. There's also a limit to our alertness as well. So it's still a little contentious, but studies shown that we're constantly going through that ultradian rhythm. Every 90 minutes, we're going in and out of peak alertness. So the reality is we can't be 100 alert all the time. It's going to chunk about 8 to 30 minutes in the middle of that, and we'll be most alert. Now, another thing for alertness is sleep. Yes, if you have been sleeping, yes, you will be as alert. sleep is really important for learning for another reason. So sleep serves a really important because it resets our immune system, it resets our metabolism, it resets our emotional control, and get rid of the waste that builds up in your brain in the course of the day. Sleep is pretty critical for memory consolidation, turning short-term memories into long-term memories. There is a particular part of the brain called the hippocampus, important for learning and memory. We do stuff throughout the course of the day. Your hippocampus is keeping track of that. It's a bit like a diary, so at times what you're doing when you sat down to listen to his talk, you're using your hippocampus to recall that information. But it only keeps information there for the short term. And when you sleep, all those short-term memories get flooded off other parts of the brain, the cortex, and turn into the long-term memories. If you don't sleep, you transfer short-term memories into short-term memories. And that's why sleep is so important for learning. That's why pulling an all-nighter and cramming is kind of the worst thing you could do for study, because you are not going to retain the information for a long term. So really, here's what you should do. Make sure you prioritize your sleep before you study, so you can be a bit more alert. But really prioritize that study after learning, because you will need that to retain that information for the long term. Now the old adage say, practice makes perfect, but there's so much truth that repetition is key when it comes to learning. Repetition is key when it comes to learning. It's not enough to just hear or see something once and expect to remember it forever. Just like exercising build puzzle, repeating patterns of thinking and doing things will reinforce those pathways and those connections in the brain associated with things, so it becomes easier to recall. So through the process of neuroplasticity, you make these brain connections, and takes energy, requires fatty acids, requires lots of little proteins to be made. It's a big job, it takes a lot of energy. We're not going to invest all of this energy in creating these new connections, something that you have only done once, right? That's why repetition is so important for learning. It's basically flagging to your brain the cellular level that, hey, this thing that keeps coming up in my life, in order to be more efficient and to reinforce this and do it better. So here's what you should do. Repeat the thing that you are trying to learn as many times as you can in that learning period, and using a space you're learning out multiple days. The way your learning has to change you on those long-term memories. We know that 2 shorter learning periods over different days will result in significantly better learning than using the same amount on a single day. Sometimes we can learn things in one go, and this is a thing called one-trial learning in psychology and neuroscience. It basically happens when there's a strong emotional component tied to that experience. For example, it makes you really happy, or really sad, or scared. Really makes us afraid, actually. There's really important biological reason when you think about it. The brain wants to remember the exquisite detail, everything to do that scary event, so that way you know how to respond next time when you encounter it, to avoid it completely. But things go on with that process, you can end up with things like PTSD. Breaks are incredibly important for learning as well. There are 2 main reasons for that. So first of all, it gives our brain a chance to play that information. Then it happens completely subconsciously. If it's a learning sequence in a piano, and if you were to take a 10-second break afterwards, your brain will actually be brain recordings, replays that sequence being 20 times faster. And it looks like it might be even better spent 20 minutes afterwards. Either just having a quiet break, no phones of course, having a nap, or doing a round sleep deep rest. The other reason why breaks are important is because that newly recorded information is very stable. If you restore those same networks to learn something else soon afterwards, What happens is the newly encoded information can be destroyed in the process called retrograde interference. And in kids, it stabilizes pretty quickly within a few minutes. Within adults, as far as we know, they're still unstable after an hour, maybe longer. So here's what you should do. Be sure to take a 10-20 minute break after you finish learning. If you're at work, so just try to do mundane tasks that you can do without thinking too much. And wait at least an hour before trying to learn something similar. Preferably do it on a different day. Next, we have mistakes. I know making mistakes is terrifying, scary, but there's a biological the feeling of anxiety and stress you get when you make any mistakes. It serves a really important purpose. So when you make a mistake, it happens you're releasing motivators like adrenaline, getting a street activity in your focused attention networks. And that increase in attention and that feeling of anxiety serves a really important purpose. It's basically saying to us, hey, you made a mistake. You need to change, you do better, become more efficient. And so opening up that window for neuroplasticity. Whatever happens next, your brain is ready to kick in. If you make a mistake and you feel a bit anxious and you walk away, well, A, you're not going to learn that thing. B, we're actually going to be less able to cope with failure. Here's what you should do. You set you up for a little bit of failure, right? Quiz yourself on that topic as you go. Don't wait until you're ready. If you're learning something, for example, soccer, to just kick it straight at the goal. Change the angle, make it more difficult so you can make mistakes. Don't wait for everything to be perfect before you have a goal. Because in the end of the day, you make your mistakes are really motivators that improve your attention. And if you get it right, you'll be releasing things like dopamine in your reward circuits, which makes you feel good, which makes you more motivated, and consolidate the learning that you did correctly, right? So that's why turning in video game can work so well. It's a win-win situation for our brain either way, right? So make a mistake, don't view that anxiety as a bad thing. Lean into that feeling, keep going, because it's really your brain's way of helping you be your best. It's helping you be better in the person you were yesterday. So as you can see, I'm not angry anymore. I'm still quite nervous. But that's because by understanding the brain, I know that you have the keys to unlock your potential to learn faster and more effectively. Those keys are attention, alertness, sleep, repetition, breaks, and mistakes. Next time you're sitting down to learn, ignore distractions, increase your attention, increase your alertness, maybe through exercise. Repeat your things and you now do as many as you can in that training period, and repeat it on multiple days. Make sure that you prioritize your time and sleep in between. Embrace your mistakes, and this 10 to 20 minutes after learning, the brain will thank you. I'm going to thank you for your attention. I hope you learned something today.